Chapter 7. Resources for Preparing Food Safety Plans for Human Food. Welcome back. A successful food safety plan identifies hazards requiring preventive controls and procedures to control them to ensure that the food produced is safe to eat. The first part of this chapter introduces numerous resources that can assist in developing and modifying a food safety plan. The second part provides information on FDA guidance to help you to conduct your hazard analysis and develop a food safety plan. The FSPCA website maintains a current list of resource material. Please consult their website for the latest information. Before implementing a food safety system, you need to perform a hazard analysis to determine which hazards require a preventive control for your products. To conduct a hazard analysis and develop a food safety plan, gather information from a variety of credible sources and use the information that best applies to your situation. Some of the most useful sources of information are described in this chapter. Sources of information include people, publications, reliable internet sites, miscellaneous agencies, and the FDA. Your employees. You and your employees know your operation better than anyone. Experience is an excellent source of information. You may already have knowledge about hazards that can affect your product, and you may already have preventive controls implemented to control those hazards. In addition to being a source of information, your employees are essential for implementing the plan. This includes everyone, including senior management, who must demonstrate commitment to effective development, implementation, and ongoing maintenance of the food safety plan. Consultants and auditors. Food safety consultants, firms, and auditors with expertise in the preventive controls for human food regulation can be a useful resource. Consultants may be helpful in developing and reviewing your food safety plan, particularly if you are just starting a new company or need expertise beyond your company's abilities in complying with the regulation, sanitation, sampling, etc. Auditors that you hire may identify deficiencies or include recommendations for improvement in the report they provide. Process authorities and technical experts. Some food safety professionals have in-depth expertise related to specific types of foods or processes. These are sometimes called processing authorities. They use scientific methods to determine the proper parameters, e.g., time, temperature, atmosphere, flow rate, oxygen level, pH, etc., to prevent, eliminate, or reduce pathogens to acceptable levels. They are a key source for validating the adequacy of a process to ensure that identified controls will actually work to control a hazard. They can also provide technical advice for developing a food safety plan and implementing appropriate corrective action procedures. The FSPCA Technical Assistance Network is discussed in the upcoming section on reliable internet sites. University specialists. Many, but not all, land-grant universities have specialists in cooperative extension programs. These programs provide outreach, education, and technical assistance to industry. Food safety extension specialists and agents can assist in identifying potential hazards and control measures, but their availability may be limited in some areas of the country. University research groups that conduct company-specific research projects also exist. Government agencies. Federal, state, and local agencies may be able to assist you in understanding and meeting regulatory requirements. Some states have a food safety task force that provides training opportunities periodically. Websites and call-in and phone lines that provide useful information from government agencies may also be available. See the discussion in reliable internet sites. Trade associations. Trade associations can also provide useful information. Some trade organizations provide services such as consulting, educational programs, and publications that can help identify hazards and control measures. While some trade association information is available only to members, others provide technical guidance and resources for sale or in an open format. See Internet Resources section. Suppliers, buyers, and laboratory analysts. Suppliers of ingredients, cleaning materials, processing equipment and packaging materials, and analytical laboratories can provide information on potential hazards and control measures. A buyer's specification may point to a hazard in one of your products. For example, a buyer may require salmonella-free product. It is important to note, however, that not all buyer's specifications relate to safety. Analysts at laboratories familiar with food samples are a good source of information in developing validation studies and sampling programs. In seeking recommendations from laboratories, it is important that the laboratory have experience with food because techniques used in food analysis may differ substantially from those used for clinical or environmental analyses. Publications are one type of information source that you may use in developing your food safety plan. It is important that you use credible publications for this purpose. The slide above lists general sources of credible information, and each type is described below. FSPCA Basic Course. One of the best and most accessible food safety resources available to develop and modify a preventive controls compliant food safety plan is this book provided in the Food Safety Preventive Controls Alliance Basic Course, the Hazard Analysis and Preventive Controls for Human Food Training Curriculum. This training curriculum covers steps for developing a food safety plan using a model food designed to be consumed by the general public. The chapters cover prerequisite programs, biological, chemical, including radiological, and physical hazards encountered in foods and basic information on how these hazards can be controlled, elements of process, food allergen, sanitation and supply chain program preventive controls, and the preventive controls for human food regulation. FDA publications. FDA's Bad Bug Book, see link on the FSPCA website, provides technical information on foodborne pathogens in everyday language. FDA hazards guides for seafood and juice products are available, and comprehensive food safety preventive controls for human foods hazards and controls guidance, Food Hazards Guide, is under development. The Food Hazards Guide will contain information to 1. Help identify potential hazards and determine if they require a preventive control, and 2. Select approaches to control the hazards. A discussion FDA's hazard guides is included later in this chapter. Peer-reviewed literature. Peer-reviewed, scientific literature is another useful source of information for developing a food safety plan. As previously mentioned, appropriate expertise is needed to properly apply information to a specific operation. The search tool Google Scholar may be useful to identify peer-reviewed literature. Trade association publications. Trade associations may be a useful source of information, including model recall plans, generic food safety plans, and other information. Trade journals often provide general information on potential hazards and controls. Articles on specific processes or products also can be useful. These trade journals are usually made available to industry at no charge, and many are accessible online. While generic food safety plans may be available for products related to your operations, use these with caution, as your plan should be specific for your particular product and how it is made in your facility. References used in development of chapters. Many references were used in the development of the material in this training curriculum. Refer to the additional reading section of chapters for references that may be relevant to your operation. Information on key food safety hazards and controls is available for free online. Warning: be sure to use peer-reviewed and other credible sources when seeking information on the web to avoid use of inaccurate information. A few websites recommended by FSPCA are highlighted on the slide. Because web addresses change and information may be removed if it becomes out of date, check the FSPCA website for updated information and links. Food Safety Preventive Controls Alliance, FSPCA, website. FSPCA maintains links to Internet resources on its website and provides periodic updates with new sources of information when they are identified. Access to the FSPCA Technical Assistance Network is available through the FSPCA website. The website also provides updates on FSPCA activities and training courses that are available. Food and Drug Administration (FDA) website. The FDA website, www.fda.gov, provides quick access to industry guidance, bulletins for health professionals, consumer education materials, and other documents and data from FDA centers and offices. Key FDA web resources include FDA's FSMA Technical Assistance Network, which provides answers to policy interpretation questions. FDA Guidance for Foods. FDA Outbreak Investigations. FDA Recalls, Market Withdrawals, and Safety Alerts. FDA Reportable Food Registry. U.S. Agency Resources. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is responsible for characterizing risk factors and prevention strategies for diseases that impact public health. The CDC also assists local health agencies in epidemiological investigations of foodborne illness outbreaks. Certain diseases are reported to the CDC by state epidemiologists. CDC information can provide insight into the outbreaks associated with specific food types. Examples of useful CDC websites for food safety plan development include Multi-State Foodborne Outbreak Investigations, reports investigations of multi-state outbreaks involving food and other sources. Foodborne Outbreak Online Database, Food, Searchable. Database for U.S. outbreaks. Attribution of foodborne illness, reports on foods associated with illness. Foodsafety.gov is a gateway to government food safety information, including links to foodborne pathogens, industry assistance, and government agencies. The U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, Food Safety Inspection Service, FSIS, provides food safety information and may be a source of information on process controls, studies, and prevalence of pathogens in USDA-regulated products. USDA FSIS also has information on recalls that may be on interest for certain product categories. International agency resources. Many agencies around the world provide science-based information on food safety and potential hazards. A few examples are listed below for easy reference. Keep in mind that specific requirements may be different from one country to another, thus information used from these sites may require adjustments to comply with FDA regulations. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency provides information on food safety for a variety of food categories, including generic HACCP models for several products. The Codex Alimentarius Commission is sponsored by the Food and Agriculture Organization and the World Health Organization of the United Nations. Its purpose is to facilitate international trade by establishing uniform standards. The Commission has developed many standards and guidelines, including recommended international codes of practice for a wide variety of food products. The European Food Safety Authority, EFSA, provides European food safety information similar to that for the U.S. agencies described above. Look for EFSA foodborne disease monitoring and analysis reports. Trade Association websites. American Frozen Food Institute provides food safety information related to frozen products. Grocery Manufacturers Association provides food safety technical guidance on specific topics on their website to share industry model practices. Some information is available for a fee, other information is available at no charge. Look for resources, research tools, and technical guidance and tools information. The Innovation Center for U.S. Dairy provides science and research information for dairy products. The United Fresh Produce Association provides food safety information specific to produce. FDA has published hazards and controls guidance for seafood and juice products. These documents represent FDA's current understanding on hazards and controls for these products. FDA is developing food safety preventive controls for human food hazards and controls guidance, Food Hazards Guide, for food subject to the Preventive Controls Regulation. Although the Food Hazards Guide was not available when the first edition of the FSPCA training launched, select information in the FDA's other hazards guides may be applicable to other food products. For example, chapters from the Seafood Hazards Guide that may be useful include Chapter 12, Pathogenic Bacteria Growth and Toxin Formation. other than Clostridium botulinum. Chapter 13, Clostridium botulinum toxin formation. Chapter 14, pathogenic bacteria growth and toxin formation as a result of inadequate drying. Chapter 15, Staphylococcus aureus toxin formation in hydrated batter mixes. Chapter 16, pathogenic bacteria survival through cooking or pasteurization. Chapter 18, introduction of pathogenic bacteria after pasteurization and specialized cooking processes. Chapter 19, undeclared major food allergens and certain food intolerance causing substances and prohibited food and color additives. Chapter 20, metal inclusion. Chapter 21, glass inclusion. Sections of the Juice Hazards Guide may be useful for processors that make fruit or vegetable products or pack in metal or glass containers. For example, this guide includes discussion of pathogens that may occur in acidic juices, pH 4.6, versus those in low-acid juices, pH 4.6, allergens and food intolerant substances added to juice as ingredients, pesticide residues, lead and tin hazards, glass fragments, metal fragments, hazards related to facility sanitation and controls for allergens arising from food contact surfaces. Keep in mind that the terminology used in both the Seafood Hazards Guide and the Juice Hazards Guide differs from that used for preventive controls regulation. Because the scientific basis for conducting hazard analysis and determining effective controls for those hazards involves the same process, the information provided can be useful. The recommendations included in FDA hazards guides are not, for the most part, binding FDA requirements. Use of the hazards guides in developing food safety plans is not mandatory. Processors and importers are free to choose other control measures that provide an equivalent level of safety assurance than those listed in the guides. There may also be circumstances where a hazard identified in a guide may not apply to a product because of conditions specific to the processor. Subsequent chapters illustrate how information in the hazards guides can be used to make decisions and develop a food safety plan. Your hard work will pay off. Kept up. Make sure to check out all the chapter resources. And please complete all the activities and exercises.